Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, Warner has boxed up Harnoncourt's Mozart that formerly appeared on Telefunken with various orchestras. You have Concertus Musicus Wien, the Concertgebouw Orchestra, the Staatskapelle Dresden, the Orchestra of the Zurich Opera House, and the Vienna Mozart Winds. And he did all kinds of Mozart, and here it is. It's symphonies and serenades and overtures, primarily. Well, actually, exclusively. Basically, that's what we have here. Now, Harnoncourt's Mozart was always very, very... was always very weird, like that. You know, you think Mozart is not our cha-cha-cha composer? Well, he is with Harnoncourt. Boy, let me tell you. Let's talk about aesthetics, because with Harnoncourt, you always need to talk about aesthetics. There is a dominating aesthetic perspective. And, people talk about period instruments and all that. It really has nothing to do with it. Sometimes he uses period instruments, sometimes he doesn't. For example, the late symphonies are with the Concertgebouw. And the amazing thing about it, of course, is how he gets the Concertgebouw to sound so unlike the Concertgebouw playing Mozart. That's an achievement in and of itself. But these performances are weird, and they're uncomfortable and somewhat unpleasant. And I think that was Harnoncourt's intention. I really do. I think he realized exactly what he wanted to do, which is to make Mozart edgy and disturbing. Now, Mozart always had an undercurrent of edge and disturbing in him. He did. That was realized, it started to be realized in the Romantic period, where we had the demonic Mozart. Don Giovanni was the iconic work, because it ended with, Don Giovanni getting sucked down to hell. Well, it doesn't actually end that way. It ends with everybody coming back on and deciding to get on with their lives as if nothing had happened. That's the joke about it, right? But in the Romantic period, they left out the whole final scene of Don Giovanni and ended it with the Don getting sucked down to hell, because that pointed the moral. It was a moral reason for doing it. Now, of course, Harnoncourt would never dream of doing that with his Don Giovanni operatic performances. But the concept of the demonic Mozart, the disturbing Mozart, is still there. And it's fine in those places where Mozart is being demonic and disturbing. It's a little bit more bizarre where he's not being demonic or disturbing. You want to have the edge, but you don't necessarily want to have it everywhere. But Harnoncourt, who is, nothing if not aesthetically or philosophically consistent, has decided that Mozart was a disruptive genius, and disruption is his intention. I'll give you an example, just a classic, clear example, and we'll go through the box. You can decide how you want to deal with it. Not all of it is bizarre, by the way. Not all of it is kooky, but a lot of it is. In the G minor symphony, all right, the great G minor symphony, Koelschel 550, whatever you call it, it's, first of all, he exaggerates everything. That's typical Harnoncourt. When things are legato, they are as legato as sewage. I mean, there's no articulation at all. Then when things are staccato, it sounds like he's using a machete. It's like a hack, it's a slash and hack and burn and take no prisoners, staccato. So there's that exaggerated range of articulations, which can be very, very annoying because it messes up phrasing. I mean, you don't hear the little notes. They're all either smoothed over or they're hacked to bits. So the G minor symphony, yes, I'm getting a little bit, confused here. So the G minor symphony has a minuet, which is marked allegretto, right? It's an allegretto. And it's, you know how it goes. Dum ba da 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 dum bum bum ba da 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 da. Well, he's like dum ba da 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 dum ba 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 da 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 dum ba 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 da 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 dum ba da da dum ba da da dum ba da da dum ba 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 ba. That's the minuet. It's no stretch of the imagination is that an allegretto. Then there's that famous finale. Remember, Mozart's in the closet. Let him out, let him out, let him out. Mozart's in the closet. Let him out, let him out, let him out. Right? It's marked allegro molto, or something like that. There's a molto and an allegro in there somewhere. I can look it up here, I suppose, but that you get the picture, right? Usually it's well, here he takes it. I mean, it's molto allegro is half the tempo of the allegretto minuet. Now, that is just perverse. There is no planet in the universe in which that is an acceptable or normative or sane interpretation of the relationship between those two tempi. No way is that going to happen. And of course, when you get to the minuet of the Jupiter Symphony, which is also marked allegretto, it's a normal allegretto. It's it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. So what the hell is he doing? And why? Well, he is revealing, theoretically, the demonic Mozart. I mean, does it reveal the demonic Mozart? Hell no. I mean, it's just weird. It's just plain weird. And there are moments in all of these performances where that weirdness sets in. And they do make you sit up and listen to it afresh, but I am not a member. I've seen this in the comments. Oh, it makes me crazy. Oh, I like this performance because it sounds different from all the others. Well, everything sounds different from everything else. That is not a reason, a legitimate reason to value a performance in a comparative sense. Yes, if you like it, again, you can like whatever you want to like. Go love it. I don't care. But when you're in my shoes, which is to make recommendations based on comparative listening and based on what the composer wrote and what the performers actually do, if somebody turns the thing inside out or upside down for the sake of it, well, I can point that out, and you might be interested in hearing it once or twice, but this is not great Mozart. Not by any stretch of the imagination, because Mozart usually sounds better the way Mozart intended himself to sound, to the extent that we know that. Now, there are many things we do not know, and it's fascinating how the period instrument people are filling in the things we don't know and ignoring the things we do. And that's bad. You don't do that. You can tell us what we don't know while doing the things we do know. That's what's supposed to happen, and it doesn't happen here, always. Sometimes it's okay. So let's go through this, and I'll tell you what you get, and you can just take it from there. So you get a pile of early symphonies. And of course, all of the bizarrerie in the early symphonies is really kind of better than it is in the later ones because we don't know the early symphonies as well. And sometimes Harnoncourt's Harnoncourtisms make it interesting. I mean, I freely admit that. I really do. As long as, an allegretto is not faster than an allegro molto, some of his slash and burn tactics are kind of cool. So you get symphonies 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 27, 28. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, and 40 and 41. There's 39, 39, 40, 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, which are early, remember. Those are like later opera overtures and other things. Some of them are with the Concertgebouw, some of them are with Concentus Musicus Wien. And I really like Concentus Musicus Wien better than the Concertgebouw of these early symphonies. They don't play the later symphonies. I really like the sound of them better in that music because the Concertgebouw just sounds uncomfortable, frankly. Then you've got the March in D major, Kochel 189, and the Antrader Serenade, and the Wind Serenades, the E flat major, the C minor, and the Grand Partita. Now, the wind stuff is all fairly normal. I mean, because you really can't screw with articulation with wind instruments the way you can with string instruments. So much of the period instruments movement's periodicity has to do with messing around with the way string players play. And with winds, they just sound fine. They're fruity and windy, which is delicious. And then you've got Serenade number 4 for violin and orchestra, the Colorado, and The Hofner Serenade, that's fun, and the Notturno. And those, let's see, the Hofner Serenade is with the Staatskapelle Dresden. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And then we've got, let's see, the Overtures. Overtures to Così, Don Giovanni, La Finta Giardiniera. Lots of marches. There's lots of extra little marches. Serenade number 5. Eine kleine Nachtmusik. The overtures are with the Concertgebouw. Everything else is Concertus Musicus. The Lucio Silla Overture, the Serenata Notturna, the Posthorn Serenade. Oh my goodness, that's fun. That's also with the Staatskapelle Dresden. Then you get the rest of the overtures. Figaro, Schauspiel Director, Magic Flutie, La Clemenza di Tito, The Abduction from the Seraglio, Idomeneo, and last but not least, the Grand Partita. Now, you know, the overtures generally are okay, except in Don Giovanni. He has some theory that Mozart didn't want those double bass half notes or whole notes or whatever, half notes I think they are at the beginning of the overture. You know, when it goes, John, John, John. You know, you hear the basses carrying over. His argument was that in those days, composers sloppily sometimes just wrote half notes where they really meant quarter notes and everybody should cut off together. No, sorry. I mean, because if that's true, how do you know when they didn't want them to cut off together? Maybe someone had a stroke of genius or of orchestral color that they wanted to tell, but they couldn't indicate it according to Harnoncourt because everything has to be played the same. I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of those old scores. He's right in a lot of ways. You could see that there are moments where, you know, shorthand takes over, but I mean, come on. Oh dear. So here we have it. I mean, it's full of personality. It's not necessarily Mozart's personality, but you got, let's see, it's pretty cheap and it's 15 CDs. And, you know, remember that Harnoncourt remade all the Mozart early symphonies also. He redid them all with Concertus Musicus on Sony/RCA, those people. But yeah, okay. It's Harnoncourt's Mozart. It's weird. It's annoying. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not my pick for great Mozart, but it does represent a moment. And so if you want a moment and you feel like listening, the trouble with moments is that if you buy a recording, you have to the same moment over and over and over again, whereas a moment should come and go. And that's how I feel about these performances. I'm interested to have heard them once, and I have no desire to play them again. The weird ones, that is. I mean, the Serenades and other things, they're okay. I can take those. I can deal with those. But those late symphonies particularly, keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.